Hi, welcome to the Upbeat Hang. I am Duke.
And this is Cabo.
And Amy is on vacation in the Bahamas. God bless her. No, she's actually...
Wow.
She's not,
And she didn't bring us?
We're going to have a talk with her. So when she gets back, we can chastise her fully. Until then, the show goes on. And as you may or may not realize, we do not talk politics on this show because, as you know, politics are, for the most part, just a disgusting mess. Regardless of what side you're on, it's a mess. And I mean, all I can say is thank God for music. I think the world would be a better place if politicians were not politicians, if musicians were politicians. What do you say, Ken?
If musicians were politicians, that sounds like a John Lennon song. What do you think about that? I'm surprised, my friend. You're not going to say anything about my shirt? I mean, how often do you see someone wearing a NASA shirt?
Actually, I've seen a lot of them lately. And
have you really?
Yes, I have. And I've noticed it. I'm like, wow, they must be really pushing those shirts, because I've seen them quite a bit lately.
Oh, because I got this directly from Houston. I mean, I was actually going to ask Tom Hanks if he would autograph it, but this is the real deal. This came from them.
But Tom Hanks doesn't work.
I'm spaced out. So. I love it.
You are spaced out. Yes.
Let me tell you something right now. I would be the first one to raise my hand. I'm not going to go to the Mars, but the moon, I'm in. I'll do it. And folks, just so you know, just for a little laugh behind the scenes the other day, trying to get some of the recording working, I think I actually had a better time landing the lunar module than getting a recording working. Duke can tell you some stories. One day we're going to do a show on Cabo's technical abilities, right, Duke? Talk about a train wreck. Holy cow.
Oof. Well, we're, knock on wood, things are rolling right now. So
Duke is kind, folks. Duke is kind, because I can tell you some stories. So, Duke, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I think we should talk about if our politicians were replaced by drummers. I think
by drummers,
our country would be in such a better place if this country was run by drummers.
Yeah, but there's only one big problem.
What's that?
No one's going to know the drummer's name. It's going to be, so-and-so's the drummer. You mean the president drummer? Oh, yeah, the vice president drummer? No one knows the drummer's name.
Why does the president always like to speak behind everybody? Because he's a drummer.
Because he's a drummer. And no one knows his name. You laughed 2 weeks ago again. I got it. You the drummer?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm holding a pair of drumsticks and seeing a drum kit. I think it's pretty easy to deduce. I am the drummer. I'm not the trombone player, lady.
Wow. And was it a duo?
All right. Duo. I'm like, there's only two of us. You have option A or B. I don't look like him and I don't sing. So you can figure it out. I guess I'm the drummer. So if we replace politicians with drummers, all right. So at what level of politics are we replacing with the drummers?
So I would say, the major positions, president, vice president, Secretary of State, Department of Labor, Department of
Attorney General.
Yeah, those kinds of things,
Okay. Well, then listen, let's get into it and let's see what's running across your mind. So
I think my thinking is we start at the lower positions and work our way up.
You got it.
Okay. So I think I know you like to use the word wild card. I think my Secretary of Commerce would be Kenny Aronoff. And the reason I have Kenny Aronoff in the Secretary of Commerce is because he's got his hand in everything. He is Mr. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. He's played with 1 million people. And I think it's just because he's such a hustler. I really do,
Okay. I'm writing this down. So we got Kenny Aronoff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
now, go ahead. Yeah. If you have
I'm going to match you. I'm not going to match you, but I'm going to go with, because if you want to talk about someone whose hands are everywhere, I'm going to go with Carmine Appice, because he's been in everything. He's now branched out. He's all over the place. So I'm going to match your Aronoff with a little bit of Appice, and I'm going to reserve on Vinny, because I may call Vinny back.
Okay.
So let's go with Carmen, because Carmen is into everything, and he has been into everything for quite a while.
Okay. All right. So for Secretary of Agriculture,
Agriculture. Okay.
To me, the clear choice was Don Henley.
Why?
Because Don Henley is all for the farmers and all for open land. I think he had the Walden Woods Project, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So that's why.
Okay. I'm going to throw you a curveball because this is all about curveballs, right? Wild cards, as you say. I'm going to use Phil Rudd, and I'll tell you why.
Wow.
Phil Rudd from AC/DC lore, because Phil could take a seed, the simplest beat, the simplest Phil, and grow it into something. So I'm going to use Phil Rudd.
Okay, so he's a
Henley.
He's a metaphoric position.
He's a metaphoric. Well, I don't know anyone who has a tractor. I mean, maybe when Aronoff was filming, when he was doing the video for that John Cougar Mellencamp on the farm, maybe he was doing it. I don't know. Okay, so agriculture, we've got Henley and Rudd. That's an interesting combination.
So next, I would choose the position of Secretary of the Interior. And for that position,
okay.
I chose Jack DeJohnette.
Okay.
He's a gentleman, and I think he's someone that people would want to deal with willingly. And I think, I don't know, I've chose Jack DeJohnette for that position.
Okay, I like that. I like that very much. I am going to go for the Secretary of the Interior, I'm going to go with my friend Tristan Bowden, because I don't know, I haven't met anyone who doesn't like him. And I don't think there's anyone he doesn't get along with. So I think he would be the one to smooth things over. Tris, shout out to you. I'm going to go with Mr. Bowden for the Secretary of the Interior. So we got Jack DeJohnette and Tristan Bowden. All right.
That's good company. Good company.
Yeah, very good company. And they keep good time too. And they sold a lot of records, so they probably sell a lot of product. I guess our gross national product would go up with those two.
So I'm going for the Attorney General next.
Oh, here we go.
Attorney General, I'm choosing Jojo Mayer.
Jojo Mayer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Jojo Mayer would be the ideal person for Attorney General, because I believe that he is very much someone who is analytical and someone who is also as fair can be.
Okay. All right.
How about you?
Well, I look at it this way, folks. We know in this country, without getting into certain issues, we know that the Attorney General, who's basically the attorney for the United States, has to deal with heavy-duty issues. He shouldn't be obnoxious, shouldn't be overbearing. He or she should be dealing with an iron hand, be respected, but yet be liked. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with Tommy Aldrich, because Tommy sometimes is a little scary when he's playing, so he intimidates people, but he plays powerfully, but he also knows how to lay back. And if you ever talk to him, you realize, contrary to what you see on stage, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. So I'm going to go with Tommy Aldrich. Besides, how can the White House not have any double bass in it?
Tommy is a very, very soft-spoken, gentleman. He truly is a gentleman.
Except when he gets behind the kid, and then all of a sudden the arms are waving and everything else. So that's a little bit of a different one.
Secretary of Finance.
Oh, okay.
For this one, I chose Larry Mullen Jr. And the reason I chose Larry Mullen Jr. is because Larry Mullen Jr., I think, is either the second or third richest drummer in the world. And I figured he may know a little bit about managing money.
Okay. I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think if you're going to go with Secretary of Finance, I think it's got to be someone who's somewhat intellectual, organized, has a clear direction, has a clear message, and has a plan, because you're dealing with people's money or the country's money. And I've always been very impressed with the acumen of Dennis Chambers. So I'm going to go with Dennis, because I think Dennis is very direct. I think he knows where he's going before he's gotten there. I love the man's style, and I think he at times he can be all business and he gets the job done. And he also, like a good investor, puts the money, regardless if it's simple or some exotic stock. If he was investing money, I have a funny feeling, Dennis, I've never invested with him, but I have a funny feeling he would put it in the right place. Maybe not the popular place, but the right place. So I'm going with Dennis Chambers.
All right. Good call. Good call. Secretary of Defense.
Defense. Okay.
This one for me, it was the only person that came to mind. And he is a smiling, happy, warm person. You always see him with a smile. But I am tempted to say nobody would ever mess with him. And that would be Chris Coleman.
Chris Coleman. Okay. Now, Duke, for some of our listeners out there, viewers, they're not familiar. Who is Chris Coleman and who does he play with?
Chris Coleman played, since there's COVID, played with Beck, but he's also played with a bunch of other people, including his own bands. He is an incredibly powerful, he's a freak of nature. He's so good. He's just a freak of nature. And if you don't know who Chris Coleman is, do yourself a favor. Look Chris Coleman up on YouTube, and you're welcome.
There it comes from Duke. All right. Folks, here's the deal. And I know Duke, I'm taking a chance with this. This is like buying a vowel, but I'm asking for a Z. So I'm going to go out there on a limb because I don't know the story. I don't know what happened. I really wasn't there, but I think this is what happened. And for this reason, I'm going to choose this drummer. Secretary of Defense, we all know, is going to have to deal with some pretty tough countries that maybe have some different agendas and some different ideas than us. So it's got to be someone who can resolve conflict without reaching for the button. Duke, would you agree with that?
I think that's more of a Secretary of State role, but that I'm not going to interrupt your flow.
Okay, good. I'll take that as a yes. So having said that, I'm going to go with Lars Ulrich because I have a funny feeling that if we had a problem with another country, I think Lars could. Now, of course, there are going to be people who are probably going to comment and say, what are you, nuts or something? He's the one who caused the conflict. I'm going to say that with everything that happened with that band being Metallica, of course, I'm going to choose Lars as being the diplomat who maybe can quell the waters. So I'm going to go with that, knowing that the Metallica fans may lambaste me.
Yeah, I think he has issues with Napsteristan.
Well, listen, that's actually pretty good. But I'm going to go with him, knowing that that's a risky pick. And if the Metallica people want to take me on, Neil Peart. Go ahead.
Yes, only living drummers are valid in this segment. So for press secretary, the press secretary, another obvious choice. This gentleman loves to tell a story, and he loves to tell a story and tell a story. And I'm talking about, everybody loves him, Bernard Purdie.
Bernard Purdie, yep. Who doesn't love Bernard Purdie? It's just quicker to go that way. I agree. Great man, great drummer, history, and he would be the kind of person that would captivate an audience in a room and captivate the whole room, and not one person would be like, I'm not really into this.
Well, if they gave him a hard time and they said, you're not answering the question, he would continue talking. Just keep going.
He would continue going. Yeah, right. If no one's listening, just like that happens to me a lot. There's no one in here. I'm talking. I'm like, wow, everyone left. I'm going to throw a curveball here, and I'm going to go with someone that I think got through to everybody. Very eclectic, very young, enthusiastic drummer that I think could reach anyone, because press secretary, you're not looking to make enemies, regardless of what side of the agenda you're on, folks. You're not trying to pick fights and so forth, and I know there may be comments to the contrary. I'm going to go with, in my opinion, the world's greatest street drummer, Dylan Elise. Because if you've ever watched Dylan's videos, they're very popular on YouTube. Duke, I assume you've seen them. Mm-hmm. He could captivate an audience anywhere at any time. And what used to amaze me about the young man is he would set his drums up, at least it appears this way. He could set his drums up in the middle of the New Orleans Quarter, the French Quarter, and he could captivate these audiences. They wouldn't get bored. They would be captivated the whole entire time. He's laughing, he's smiling. His technique is just phenomenal. I can see that he could try and sell a Great Depression. I think he could sell it. So I'm going to go with Dylan on that.
Okay. next we have Secretary of State. And for Secretary of State, I chose the very distinguished, the very international Sir Charlie Watts.
Oh, okay. I like that. Very good pick. Charlie
It's
Watts.
self-explanatory.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. Well, Duke, I'm going to match you, as they say in poker, head on head, because I would have to, for Secretary of State, go with Ringo Starr. A very, very distinguished man, a very polished man, a very well-respected man. Really, I'm not aware of anything he's done in his life that's been second rate. So I would have to say Ringo Starr would be my slam dunk. So I'll go with him with that.
So the next position that I chose was Speaker of the House. And the reason I chose Ringo Starr for Speaker of the House is...
Oh, okay.
He is the ultimate MC on his all-star band tour. He's the MC of the show. Everybody loves Ringo. He has no problem in giving the floor to somebody for 5 minutes. So I give the speaker position to Mr. Starr or Sir Starr.
Mr. Starr. Okay. Well, I think, like I said, I think any category here, folks, Ringo is really just basically a can't miss. You can't go wrong with him.
Right.
I'm going to ask Duke to fill in the blanks on this one, because I think you know who it is. And I could honestly see this gentleman who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting. I could see this gentleman in this role in real life. His first name is Dom, and Duke, you know his last name.
Famularo?
Yep. I could see Dom as the Speaker of the House, because I've seen him do all different types of interviews. I've never seen that man not smiling, but he seems to be very engaging, and he seems to know how to relate to all different types of people. Certainly can conduct an interview, keep something flowing. So Dom is my man on this one for the Speaker of the House.
All right. Next, we have the Vice President.
Oh boy, we're moving up the ladder here, Duke. We're moving up the ladder.
For Vice President, I think you have to keep somebody who's extremely valuable, extremely comfortable being in a sideman position, but knows what they're talking about. And for this position, I chose Steve Jordan.
Excellent. VP Steve Jordan. I like that. And I like your analysis, because I couldn't agree with you more. I think you need someone who has been a sideman, maybe not been the feature, but if need to be, could become the feature. So I'm going to say, for these reasons, that you need someone who could play first base, second base, pitch, maybe catch if he has to, be all over the place, and has to be someone, again, like any politician, for the most part, has to be able to relate to people. So I'm going to choose the great Wally Reyes Jr., because Wally had started in Chicago as the percussionist, and even though he was a very prominent percussionist, Tris was still the drummer. However, when Tris left the band, Wally moved right over, and it was seamless. And he's done an incredible job. And quite frankly, if he had forearms, he could do both jobs. So he's someone who could go back and forth. And I really don't think that, if God forbid something happened to the drummer, Wally would be, if he was playing percussion, would be rattled one bit. I could hear him now. Where are my sticks? So I would choose Wally Reyes Jr.
Nice call. And for president, drum roll, please.
Oh, that's not funny, Duke. Make sure the drummer's getting paid, by the way, folks.
I have to go with Mr. Steve Gadd.
Wow.
Steve
you know what's
Gadd,
funny?
What's that?
I picked Steve Gadd too.
Steve Gadd for president. That's all I got to say.
Well, let's put it this way. Let me try and turn it around a little bit.
Okay.
Who, and again, think about the musician and the political side. Who would be a formidable candidate to run against Steve Gadd if Steve Gadd was up for election? I know who I would put against Steve Gadd.
The only person would be Ringo Starr.
What about Steve Smith?
I don't think he would. I don't think so. I mean, Steve Smith was actually one of the cabinet positions, and I changed it. But no, I don't think anybody can compete with Steve Gadd.
Yeah, and you know something, folks. I think Duke makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking that Duke, help me out for a second. The young man who plays with Steely Dan,
Keith Carlock.
Keith Carlock is certainly a consideration who could have been in the cabinet as well.
Oh, sure. There's so many people, but
really
these
is.
are the ones that just rang my bell, so to speak.
It rang not the bell of your cymbal, though, of course.
But a bum.
Now, Duke, let me ask you, you're a drummer. What cabinet position do you think you could be in? What do you think you would fit in?
A very large kitchen cabinet.
Okay. Well, besides that.
I don't know. Politics is not my thing. I'm totally not into any
If I took a guess, is it fair to say that you'd be the Secretary of Agriculture? Because I think you would like to grow things. Is that correct? Do you have a green thumb, Duke? Do you have a thumb? Is your name Duke?
What about you? What position do you think you would be
Duke, come
good
on.
at?
You know the answer to that. That's obvious.
I don't. I want to hear what you have to say.
You know which one it would be. It's obvious which one I would be.
Okay, let's take Attorney General out.
Oh,
now,
okay.
Now what position?
Press secretary.
Interesting.
Press secretary. I would love to do that. Something like that. Yeah.
You like answering the hard questions.
Well, they're not your answers, but yeah, you're answering the hard questions and dealing with the press and constantly preparing. It's almost like an oral journalist, if you will.
Right.
You're almost like the private newspaper for the president. And each day you're coming out with a new story, a new spin, a new angle, and you've got to be ready to answer the questions and also deliver the story. So yeah, it would be something like that. I love journalism. Nice. Well, now, Duke, let me ask you: Is there anyone you really wanted to fit in on this list, and you just couldn't get him in, but you really wanted to get him in?
Well, Steve Smith actually was on the list, and then I took him off.
Okay.
I felt that there was, I think it was Secretary of the Interior, where I think I replaced Steve Smith with Jack DeJohnette. Okay. All right. I would have liked to have really fit in Harvey Mason. Lovely gentleman, very distinguished, very intelligent, very, very intelligent man, and obviously a great drummer. I think Harvey Mason would be one of those men that a lot of people would listen to if they heard him talk away from the drums. And by the way, Duke, I think Harvey had attended law school for a brief period of time. Did you know that? Yes, I did. Okay, actually, he's from Atlantic City, right down the road here. I would have taken as a second pick. I would have taken Mighty Max Weinberg. I think he would have been a good pick for the Attorney General because I could see Max up there with the glasses being like, no, we're not doing that. No, you're getting indicted. No, you're in trouble. So interesting good. Cabinet, folks. And I got to be honest with you, I'm fascinated that a president, because there's still a couple major players off the list. I'm really fascinated that a president, we wound up both with Gad. Doesn't surprise me in the least. Okay. All right. That doesn't surprise you the least. He would have great all our problems with China and India and everything would be gone because he's so good on Asia. Wow. Folks, you don't have to pay for this comedy routine. This is not pay-per-view. This happens to be free. There's a reason why it's free, but it happens to be free. So that's the great Duke Clement. There he is. Duke, I really enjoyed that because we got to talk about some old names we haven't heard in a while. And it's really great to always talk drums with you because I'm sorry whether the people know my name or your name or whatever. I still think it's the greatest instrument on earth. And I still haven't met one person who doesn't enjoy playing drums. Would you agree with that? Absolutely. What's your name again? You're Duke, the host, the drummer. Oh no, you're the host. You're the drummer host. Did you ever know some people put two of them together? Are you the drummer roadie? Maybe you're the drummer host. Are you the drummer mechanic? Yeah, I've had people do that. They put drummer with something else. It's like, I have a name. One would think, are you the drummer doctor? Oh, meaning you're a plumber, but you are a drummer on the weekends. That's correct. That's correct. We still can't get to the first name, folks. That's my hang up. I know it. I admit it. I'm flawed. But they can't. Yeah, they're right. Are you the plumber drummer or the drummer plumber? Yeah. Are you the plumber who's a drummer? Yeah. Okay, lady. I do air traffic control. I'm a drummer too. Thanks a lot. So Duke, always fun to talk to you about this stuff. This was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed hearing some names, and I am thrilled that we both came up with Gad because honestly, I did have Gad down. Gad for president.
GAD for president. Well, listen, you know what? If you'll contribute, I will.
GAD 2024. We're going to start the stickers right now. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode. We hope you had fun. We did. Please be sure to subscribe, like, all that other crap. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Upbeat Hang with Amy.
With Amy. And Amy, listen, come back from, where is she? Bahamas?
Tahiti.
Oh, she's in Tahiti. Okay, Tahiti. Never been to Tahiti, but I'm sure they have drummers there. Are you the drummer native? Anyways, yeah, great to see you folks. I hope you listen to our other podcast. I've been absent the last couple of weeks, and Duke and Amy have done a great job. Find us on social media, like it, comment, and I cannot wait to hear from those Metallica fans.